sure that we have a nice, safe Zoom meeting. Okay. So I think we're pretty steady at our numbers now. So I'll go ahead and start. So I just want to obviously just say hello, wanted to check in. It's been a while since we've had the time to connect virtually. And really each day I find that I'm missing more and more seeing the teaching and learning in our physical sort of normal space. I guess I just end up missing the hustle and bustle of a normal school day. But with that, I do hope you're all safe, that you're all navigating distance learning to the best of your abilities. For the most part, I'm working at home. A lot of our staff is working from home. I'm healthy, my family's healthy. I hope for you as well. I do realize I'm getting a few more gray hairs whenever the governor makes statements about returning to school and all those things. So trying to navigate those as well. And just so you know, I'm receiving that information about the same time you are when it becomes public on the news and so forth. So with that, I want to share some of my thoughts moving forward. To me, there really seems like no reasonable way that our schools would reopen in the summer for lots of reasons. In fact, we're already working on plans to hold our extended school year and our summer school programs virtually. I think we all understand the complexities of our students having missed significant parts of the school year. And of course, we'd like to fill some gaps, but there's still no cure, no real cure at least, no approved treatment, no option for vaccination at this point for COVID-19. And these would be really critical if we were to bring students back at any time soon. As I've shared in most of my meetings, there's still lots of questions, certainly more questions than answers. But here are a few things I know. Right now, our focus is largely on two things: reopening of schools and funding and budgeting. So in terms of reopening, I'll sort of start with that. We've entered a time where a new normal in schools is happening. We're right in the midst of this. And schools may be tasked with adjusting schedules, adjusting programs, and other functions that bring large numbers of people to a single location. Distance learning is likely not going to go away in the near future, at least in some format. It may become part of the new normal for schools across the country. That's just what we're hearing at this point. We do not have direction from experts or a fully vetted plan as to what this will look like or entail. But in the near term, we will be holding, as I said, our extended school year and summer school options virtually, completely virtually. I have volunteered to be a part of Los Angeles County Office of Education's task force on the fall school reopening. This team is going to consider options and produce a framework for the upcoming school year with social distancing in mind. Through this involvement, Weisburn will have direct access to the most up-to-date information about the safest way that we can proceed forward in the fall. From the task force will emerge a toolbox. It's not going to be a one-size-fits-all answer, but rather a toolbox of options that we'll consider as a district based on our unique needs. We're also in the process of working with trustees, Dr. Neil Goldman, Mrs. Joanne Caneda, on the creation of a staff and parent survey to better understand what is currently working related to distance learning, what is needed, what are some of the challenges, and we definitely understand that we need teacher input, we need staff input if schools do not physically open as usual in the normal fashion, I should say, in the fall. In terms of the budget, the fiscal outlook for next year is looking pretty bleak. I wish I had better news in that regard, but the pandemic has taken a toll, not only on the California economy, but as many of you have probably seen, on the world economy. Although we'll not know more until the budget's finalized, right now the forecast seems to be even more depressing, I should say, than the Great Recession. Right now we expect that just kind of the timeline, I should say, of how this should get out. Basically, by June 15th, the legislature has to approve a budget in order to get paid. We're expecting that they'll release a budget in June because it's in their best interest to get paid, right? So we'll see a June 15th budget that will be more fictitious than real. they'll start doing some edits to that budget, and we're likely not going to see a fully approved, accurate state budget until somewhere around August or September. So just kind of knowing that when our school year starts, gives you an idea of timeline as to when we'll actually know what money we'll be receiving, when we'll be receiving it, and if there are any deferrals in the future. We're going to convene a subcommittee of the board. We're going to engage with WFA and CSEA leadership. We're going to work with state and local finance experts because we want to ensure that we're prudent with our finances and also strong, continue to remain strong in terms of our fiscal responsibility and our reserves. I feel lucky to work with trustees who are champions of the district's fiscal strength. And we do have a reserve balance that will help us manage some of these tough times ahead. Aside from business as usual, though, I did want to take some time to check in, wanted to give updates, want to be able to answer questions. I just want to see how you're doing. I know it's hard with 300, 200 or so on the call, but just know I am thinking about each of you. I empathize with many of you, and that we all have different responsibilities, pulling us in probably a myriad of different directions. I'm a father of 3. I have a wife that's working full time. I'm juggling working from home, doing homework with my children, and also allowing time for the normal chores around the house that many of us are also doing too. I found self-care important, taking walks with my dog, bike riding. This is new for me, and other forms of exercise that have really helped. So I hope you're able to find ways to do that as well, that fit within your lifestyle as well. But please know now that more than ever, we're here to support each other. I'm here to support you. And I really do care about each of you and look forward to a time when we can enjoy teaching and learning, at least to some normalcy together again. It's been nice to hear about some of the great ways that you've stayed connected. I've been able to see some. I've been able to talk to to some of your principals, other teachers. I know that Zoom chats have been key at many of our school sites. I heard about the virtual talent show at Cabrillo, the Stitch message to families from Burnett staff members, an awesome student council video message from Burnett ASB. Thank you to Rachel and Nicole. I tried to play it at a board meeting and we had technical difficulties, but I will try and get that played at a future board meeting. I know there's been virtual recess time, read alouds from Anz and Dana. Thanks to Albert and Amy Glotz over at Dana. A great video from Chris Torrey explaining the age-old question: when will we ever use this again, related to COVID-19? And I know that connected several disciplines or content areas in the middle school. I also know that these examples just represent a snapshot of what you all are doing on a daily basis to connect with kids and to connect with families. I know there's phone calls that are happening on a daily basis to families and students. And I know there's many other ways that you're connecting with your students. So thank you for that. I do want to share just a few other announcements, and then I'm gonna, as usual, sort of open it up for questions. And feel free to put how you're feeling too. I thought it'd be difficult. I thought about maybe opening the Zoom to comments. I'm just not sure how we would manage that. It's just kind of one of me and trying to manage. We found in larger venues, it's a little more difficult. So maybe the next time we'll do some break-off session where we can work in smaller groups and then do a share out, maybe organize it that way. I just actually learned how to do breakout sessions a few days ago on Zoom. So learning technology with you all, and hopefully we'll bring it to you too in this format. But a few announcements that I wanted to share. First is grading protocols. So they're near complete. I know we've spent quite a bit of time, probably this has been a big part of our conversations, not only at the administrative level, the teacher level. We've had our tech team trying to figure out how does this look in PowerSchool. And based on survey input, staff needing feedback, administrator input, models from local districts, the myriad of information that we're receiving, we're finalizing a draft policy for the board to consider. Our current recommendation will likely be this: a no grade or a dash in elementary school for third trimester. And then for middle school, it would be a pass, no pass for each content area. Each grade level will provide personalized comments to their students, and you'll get more information on what that may look like, because we want to obviously provide some sort of sentence starters, templates, expectations around what that information would look like or that narrative would look like. Other things in the world of tech, we've handed out over 400 Chromebooks and counting. We're opening every Wednesday to hand out more and more Chromebooks. I think we handed out another 30 or so this week. And we continue to provide about 400 meals per week to families in and around the Weisburn area. We get actually reimbursed for any family that shows up. It's all reimbursable, regardless of whether you're a Weisburn family or not. I want to send a special thank you to our Hunger Heroes. These are our essential food service workers that make this happen. I mean, they're really braving a difficult situation to make sure that some of our most vulnerable families have access to food. Material pickup. This has also been, this is an interesting conversation because, there's lots of materials to pick up because of the abrupt closing of our schools. And we want it to happen soon. We want to pace it. We don't want to bring too many people onto a site at one time. So we will make a plan to allow for material pickup soon. We're going to prioritize this pickup, however, and we're going to probably focus first on 2nd grade, 5th grade, and 8th grade, those transitional grades where we know the students are leaving. So that'd be second, obviously, at Cabrillo. Those students that are leaving one school site to transition to another. So we'll start there, and we are going to use our aides and support staff to help us in the pass out process or the collection process. We've talked about a myriad of different ways we can do that, whether it be packing plastic bags with tape and names and doing a kind of a drive-through pickup type model. But we'll have to fully vet out a process that makes sure that people are safe and staying as far apart as possible. My goal with this was to wait until about the 2nd week of May before we make any final plans, because we are seeing things changing on a daily basis, and we're starting to hear flattening of the curve. We're starting to hear things like, the stay-at-home order or more flexibility to stay-at-home order. Not that that's been executed, of course, but that there's been conversations about the future. And so we just want to give it a couple weeks so that we're not making premature decisions and putting people in greater risk or greater peril. Full and part day preschool enrollment, wanted to give a little bit of an update on that and sort of an update on the whole program. So far, our launch of a full day and part day preschool for next year, the enrollment's been extremely strong. We're announcing the launch of Del Air site, which is right now the home of Da Vinci Connect, as the new centralized preschool location. We've updated 4 classrooms and a modular unit to support our youngest learners. This move will free up space for our before and after school programs at Anza and Cabrillo. As more information emerges regarding restrictions for starting next year, we'll be able to then plan for the redeployment of the program for next year based on the numbers of students that enroll and the space that may be needed for both our before and after school program and for our preschool program. So I want to send a couple real special thank yous. First of all, to you all, the teaching staff, those of you that are on this today. Everybody's been so patient and flexible. Obviously, I pointed out individual achievements. I know a lot of you have been doing this, and definitely feel free if there's an event that you're hosting with your class. If you'd be willing to have me be a part of it, please send me an email. I'd love to join you in some of whether it's a Zoom or a Google Classroom session, whatever that may be. Please send me an email, and I'd love to be a part of those as well. So I do thank you for your patience and your flexibility. I also am really, really encouraged by our tremendous grounds and custodial staff. Again, they're important work. I just can't have a meeting like this without pointing out the important work that they do every day to make sure that when we do go back, that we're going back to a safe and sanitized location. A little bit more too is we're going to, what we did purchase, I wanted to share, we have some new additions to our custodial, I guess, cache, if you will. And 2 foggers that we've purchased, similar to those that are used on airplanes. So we're going to actually be able to go through and fog each classroom and space, public space, so that we make sure they're completely sanitized before we have students return back and teachers and staff return back to class or school full time. So just know that those are, I believe, en route now. So with that, I'm gonna open up. I see I think a couple questions down here, but I will open up for a couple questions. If you want to put how you're feeling, put that too. I can empathize certainly with those sentiments as well. I mean, I don't want to make this super formal. Obviously, I wanted to make sure I got as much information across to you as I could. But if it's not a question, but just like, this is difficult right now, put that out there, and I'd be certainly happy to empathize with you on those things too. I understand. So Sarah's saying that, okay, so in the future, I guess we can do a participation where people can raise their hands. So maybe that'll be something that we try in the future. So I get if all students are moving to the next grade level, how does pass or fail make sense? I would have that conversation a little bit. I'd have that more separately with the principal. I won't call out the person on that. Just I know that grading has been an issue that's been that we've been talking about a lot. We do have to have some kind of mark for a student, and we want to follow what the state is sharing with us, which is the no harm to students. And so to do that, we felt that the pass or no pass, at least that the feedback we got initially, was the best way to go. And being able to describe in the narrative some of the more cogent points about each of the students' progress. Okay, got a comment that compared to other districts, we're doing amazing, and people feel, this person in particular, feeling blessed to be working with such amazing people. I certainly concur with that, and I don't want to understate that enough. Any other questions? COVID exposures at our schools. We actually have one COVID exposure. I'll share that. It's extremely low risk, not one that we would make public. And I do want to make sure that we protect the confidentiality. But we had the spouse of an employee. The spouse of an employee was exposed to someone who had the COVID virus. That spouse was, I believe, to my knowledge at this point, did have gloves on, had a mask on, and it seems like all is well. So we are closing Anza school for right now, just in the short term, until we can be sure that we get that positive or negative, test result. We want a positive test result, but that's negative, right? Okay, do we anticipate layoffs? Right now, we are not anticipating layoffs of, right now we're not anticipating layoffs. We don't know, obviously, what the financial future is going to hold, but we're not anticipating layoffs at this point. Other than potentially our EDP staff, which I did share at the last time we spoke. I said that's our after-school program at the middle school, with the intention of bringing them back also in the fall when we get our numbers for that. Knowing more about sanitization, understand that hand sanitizers not have alcohol, which has been recommended by the CDC. So that's a good point. We have actually had pretty explicit conversations with the LA Department of Health and with our nurse at the County Office of Education. And our direction right now is that the sanitizer that we're using that's non-alcohol based is definitely meets standard, and we're able to use that safely, and it is going to disinfect the viruses that we're trying to protect ourselves against. Teachers, will teachers and possibly students be provided with protective equipment like masks, disinfectants to use in the classroom? It seems really odd to wear a mask in the class, but it would be prudent. Absolutely, I feel that this is something, in fact, this is a new conversation we're having now. Had a quick chat with the board member yesterday. We've ordered thousands and thousands of masks. That would probably get just staff through the ability to sort of reuse them. They're like these, they're not reusable per se, although I've used this one quite a bit, but you shouldn't. And we'll get some masks, hopefully that'll stand up to a little bit more of the test of time and be able to provide some of that for our students. All right, I'm seeing some funny comments here, so pardon my smile. In looking at the future budget, do you anticipate layoffs, furlough days, increased class sizes? Anticipate layoffs. No, I'm not anticipating layoffs. I am anticipating we're going to have a tough financial future, and so I don't want to be overly. I don't want to analyze this or kind of an analysis to paralysis yet, just because we don't have enough information. And so I would be speaking extremely prematurely at this time to make any type of determination on that. I do think we're going to face some pretty tough times. I think we're going to have to look back to 08 and 09 and the playbook that we used back at that time. We're going to have to work together with WFA, with CSEA, so that the impact to people and programs is the least impactful on our community. And so our goal would be to support people through this, and not have people leave us. So furlough days, I don't know, definitely too early to say that. And increased class sizes, again, that would come from the state in terms of a waiver. We are bound by class size reduction K through 3 right now. So if that were to change, we were to receive a waiver, and we had deferrals to ADA or anything like that that truly impacted our bottom line and our budget, and we couldn't operate, then we would have to take a look at any and everything. But right now, we definitely don't have enough information for that. So I wouldn't worry about that yet. We're going to make sure that we communicate this back to you quickly. I don't want you to be waiting and thinking about it while we have information. So as we do get it, just know you will get it. So we'll meet in this format or another format, whatever we need to do to make sure you're aware. Okay. I hope I didn't miss any, but I'm going down here. What is the #1 need parents have expressed that teachers can help with? I think that what I've seen the most, so 99.9% has been extremely positive. It's been supportive of the teachers. I've received, countless emails about individual teachers who are just, doing what you do. You're being teachers, you're being educators, you're loving kids, and you're loving the families. And I think parents are feeling loved. The students are feeling loved, and it's hard when they leave mid-year. It makes it really difficult to have that closure. And I know that there's some concern about closure. So to answer that question a little bit more specifically, is the closure piece, is how are we continuing that connection throughout the rest of the school year so that students have some sense of closure in a situation where closure isn't typical, right? Sort of an atypical, certainly an atypical situation. Aside from that, I would say, parents have expressed just the wonderful Zoom sessions that have gone on. I received an email about Summer Graves. I think she's on here too. I received a phenomenal email about her today that just, it just makes us smile when you start hearing these individual, emails about teachers. So thank you. And there's many of those. So I just happened to see this one today. I got another one. As new grading policies go out to parents, will the district send out an email encouraging students to do work, specifically middle school, who have no motivation now, and will have no motivation considering grades are a bit misleading. It's frustrating as a teacher. Totally understand that. As a middle school and a high school teacher too, I completely understand. And a lot of us are dealing with that same concern, meaning a lot of districts are dealing with that same concern. So, I'm gonna hope for the best in people, and as we send information out to our families, we're really gonna hope that the families help support us in this. That is gonna be a message that we share loud and proud, is that we're gonna ask our parents to be supportive of their students as they go through this process. I'll even share my own personal sort of experience with my kids and how I'm trying to motivate them, because I understand this. I have a 7th, an 8th, and a 9th grader, so I get exactly what this concern is from the middle school, and don't have a great answer for this. Yeah, I can just leave it at that. I really don't. I'm sorry to all of you. Will there be online graduation for 8th graders, seniors at Da Vinci? Those cherished moments, I know. I have an 8th grader. I get it. We've talked to WEF about this. Yeah, at this point, we are working with Kiana on what that would look like. So Da Vinci, I'm just not sure. I don't know. I actually have not reached out to Da Vinci on this yet. Da Vinci's closed down. I can reach out to Matt and hopefully maybe get an answer to what Da Vinci's planning on doing. But 8th grade at Dana, I don't know yet. So let's continue to work, and we're in, I guess, are we in it? It's like Groundhog's Day, right? It's like every day I keep looking down. It's Thursday. So today's Thursday or Friday or something. But yes, it's the end of April, and let's try and make it a point to have an answer for you all, particularly at Dana and even some of the 5th grade moments that you go through to get a graduation process or graduation ceremony in line. So it's online graduation and maybe a drive-through graduation. I heard about a drive-through graduation just the other day. I don't know what that is exactly. So I think that maybe we could look at that. I don't know what that means exactly, but maybe we'll take a look at that. And I do know that there's a lot of online graduation platforms. I did see a local district that is using Facebook, is using one of those social media sites and posting 3 or 4 profiles of seniors or graduates per day. And they're recognizing them even in a little more personal way than you would with just reading a name at a graduation. So there's just different types of ways out there. We'll stay in touch with people and make sure that we make the right decisions. Octavio's sharing today is Children's Day in Latin America, so happy Children's Day. Thank you, Octavio, for sharing that with us. I'm just scrolling up. Any other questions? Any other concerns? I hope I was able to answer most of your questions. I mean, I know that there's a lot of unanswered questions, but if there's anything else that for the good of the cause that you all may have. I will end too then, and seeing none, looking down here, seeing none, I will end just by saying what's come out most, one of the biggest messages that's come out of LACOE, that's come out of the state at this point, has been the mental sort of health of all people involved in this, our students, teachers, our families, our parents, everybody, staff, because everybody's obviously experiencing this in a different way. You have unemployment rates are up. We have people, people losing jobs, struggling for food. I mean, we have some of the very simple, some of the things that we think is simple are truly impacting people's lives. And so you're really seeing this mental health be a serious issue. So, I just want to share with you just how important that is to me, that, we're being cognizant of our students. And if you're seeing students that are feeling that you're seeing, maybe are looking different or feeling depressed, you always can reach out to our care team. I think I saw Monique on here. So, and I don't know if Julie's on here, but certainly reach out to the care team, send an email to your principal, let them know. And also, like I said, please take care of yourself and make sure you get time in the middle of the day. I mean, I do truly care about your time and what you're doing. And it means stopping work in the middle of the day and taking a jog or a walk with a mask, of course, if you can. Do that, take the bike ride, take the jog, lift weights, walk to the porch, do whatever it is that you can do to get away from the work piece, because we're finding it very, very difficult. At least I'm finding it very difficult to be able to separate. And, it's like, because we're glued to our computers all day long, I end up not ungluing until 10 o'clock at night. And I'm sure a lot of us are struggling with learning to work from home when we're not used to working from home. So just want to wish everybody good health, safety, and all those things. I did get a couple little last minute questions, so I will go right back to that. A good question. And Sarah reached out, and her question is this: are there any needs teachers have that we can support? So very, very good question. Thank you, Sarah, for bringing that up. That will go in a survey. As I said, we are working with Joanne and Neil on a survey. So if you could put that in there, make sure that that will be one of the questions, is how can we best, as a district, as an administration, help support you through this process or through what may come. Please put that down there. Let us know what we can do to help, because we do want to do that. So thanks, Sarah, for pointing that out. Tanya, when will parents be notified about grades, about the dash marks or grades? We actually need to have that board approved. So I'm sharing information with you prior to having board approval. So I just wanted you to know sort of the direction that we're going, the lane that we're going in. And so once we get that out once we kind of finalize the memo, we'll send it to the principals, we'll sort of do a second proof on it, and then we'll send it to the board, because it's a change from the policy that we have now. So we would have to adopt a resolution changing our grading policy that currently exists. So I'm sorry. And so, and another good suggestion, and actually I read this recently too, is from, this comes from Deanna. Thank you, Deanna, for sharing this. Just sharing the importance of having teachers connect on a non-business related matters, having colleagues connect and other staff members connect on these types of issues, whether it be through Zoom and whatever, FaceTime, and there's so many ways that we can connect, just to connect and say hi and how is it going, and not necessarily talk about teaching and learning for a little bit, but be able to keep up that social, kind of a bit of a social life in this time is important. So definitely agree with you, Deanna, and would encourage that too. So any new thoughts on information or thoughts on retention and retention meetings? Like to limit retention. Definitely, this is a real slippery slope. So I do think that we want to be really cognizant about retention. If there's particular students, I would want to make sure that those students parents have been contacted, obviously multiple times, that the principals are involved in that retention process, and that it's a really well thought out process. And obviously, you all are the experts and you've done this and been through this, and we would definitely have to rely on your input on retention, but nothing formal yet. What's the impact of no pass? Is it just informational? The no pass will be informational, yes. The narrative is going to be more it's going to instruct us more as to what class the student would take next year. It would instruct in a math situation, for instance, in 8th grade, what class they may take for 9th grade. So there is going to be some sort of work that we'll be able to do by looking at the narratives. The pass, no pass is really just saying that the 4th quarter was new for all of us, was different for all of us, unprecedented for all of us, and we're just trying to do the best we can. And I know it's not perfect, everybody. I know there's so many things that there's things I would have done if I look back and wish I would have done it differently. So we'll figure that out this summer and we'll get it right next time. I mean, however we have to come back to start the fall, we'll do it and try and fix some of these gaps for sure. I know grading's a tough one for everybody. It is for me too. I would personally like to see my child have grades. I get it, but I understand too the difference. So I'll just say I understand this is a big concern. Any other questions? Kind of going once, going twice. If I missed anything, I think Wendy has also. Oh, okay, I got one. Thank you to Sarah for supporting everyone with technology. I should say that. I'm sorry, I didn't even put that in here. And Sarah's been phenomenal. And Sarah, thank you. I think I know you're on because you're blowing up my Zoom chat. So I know you're on. Sarah's like giving me a script. No, I'm teasing. But Sarah, thank you very much. You've really been awesome in making sure that we're providing students to the best of our ability during this time, and providing tons of information and all that. So thank you very much. Is there a superintendent's honor roll? Good question. Hugo, we'll talk about that. Albert, we'll talk about that. I think that's I know I signed those last year. We'll look into that. Sorry. So we'll get back to you on that. That'll be hard, wouldn't it? Okay. So again, thank you all very much. Very much appreciate you taking the time. I'd like to do this more. Please feel free. Maybe next time what I'll do is I'll give you a little more notice so it's not the day before, and to compile some questions prior to this and prepare some of the answers that I may or may not have prior to this meeting the next time. But just in the interest of the upcoming Teacher Appreciation Week, I just want to wish each of you a happy Teachers Appreciation Week. Those that are teachers. We just have the best teaching force around, and I do wish all the teachers a wonderful week. I know it's unusual. It's certainly an unusual week to be here and not typical, but you deserve so much praise, and all the praise that I'm receiving from our community is well deserved. And I thank you all for that. Please enjoy your time, enjoy your families, enjoy yourself, and stay healthy, everybody. Have a good one, and reach out to me if you need anything. All right. Take care.